I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing next episode, but I know what it's going to be, and it's going to be a much more light episode.
It's going to be a much more light episode.
Ha! Welcome back to Project Daily Drive, where today we're going to look at the lights on the car. But before I get into that, let's talk about the car. So since the last episode, I've done some testing, and she's still not running right, but I'm not covering that in this episode. Also, she's had a little bit of work, and I'll explain what it is because, well, I didn't film it. The engine and gearbox oil has been changed, the grease points on the suspension have all been done, and the antifreeze has been changed. The reason I didn't film it is because I didn't do it. My local mechanic did it. I've been having problems getting under the car, and I didn't have any jack stands, so I just took it to my local mechanic who did it for me very cheaply. So, win-win. But back to the lights. To really understand why my lights need a bit of work, let's have a look at what is essentially the closest equivalent to my Morris Minor for the modern day. This is my parents' 2009 Vauxhall Corsa Automatic. If you're in the world of looking for a small to medium-sized family car that can comfortably fit 4 people, this is what you'd bought. That's why I say it's the closest equivalent to my Morris Minor. It's not a sports car, it is a family car for 4 to 5 people. You can't really fit 5 people in a Morris Minor, but it's close enough. So to compare what I need to do to my Morris Minor, let's have a look at the lights on this thing. The lights on the front of the Vauxhall Corsa are virtually identical to what you get on the Morris Minor, except that all being separate, they're all in this big plastic binnacle. You've got indicators, obviously. You've got your parking lights. You've got your headlamps. And even some really bright main beams. It's actually the back of a modern car where things are so much more different than a classic. The lights are larger, there's a lot more going on here. You've got separate lights for your rear lights, you've got your brake lights, you've got your fog lights, you've got indicators, but you've also got reversing lights and a high level brake light. There's a lot more going on here. It's also a lot larger and, more importantly, a lot higher up. The Morris Minor ones are down here. This is what every car on the road has. So let's have a look at the Morris Minor and see where the problem lies. The lights at the back of a Morris Minor are very different to the ones on the back of a modern car. They're much lower, the ones on the Corsa are up here, these are down here, and they're much smaller. There's also less going on here. These are the largest lights ever fitted to a Morris Minor. They're originally a lot smaller. But you don't really have much here. There's no high level brake light, there's no fog light, there's no reversing light. The stop and brake light is just a single bulb. And the lenses are pretty shot as well. Let's see what we can do to upgrade these and make them a little bit better. At least on my budget. I'm still unemployed. Please hire me. But before I even think about touching the rear lights, I might as well do what I can to improve the front. Do you want to know how bad they are? They're currently switched on. Wow. It's really bad. Hello. Getting Morris Minor front lenses off is literally as easy as doing that. As you can see, they're turned on right now, and they are wimpy. There's quite a lot of corrosion on these bases. They really need replacing along with the lenses, but I'm on a budget, so I'll clean up the contacts, replace the bulbs, clean up these, and leave it a day. It's the back that get the upgrade today. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, and today we're taking a look at Morris Minor Indicators by Alec Zagonis. Alright, enough of that joke, let's go on with the actual video. These are the front indicators and parking light lenses for my Morris Minor, and as you can see, they're shot. They're pretty past it and need replacing, but I haven't got the money for that, so I need to improve them. They are plastic, they're faded, and they've got these reflectors that don't really reflect anything, so The best thing really to do with these is just to give them a really good clean in some soapy water and clean up the reflectors to see if I can actually get some light out of them. I've just got a solution of very soapy water in here, that's all I'm going to use, because they're really just filthy on the inside. Years of brake dust and road dirt and general gunk build-up, it's not very good. So I'll clean up both these lenses, and then I need to repair the damage done to the reflectors, and, well, I'll see you in a moment. With just a simple wash, you can see that, well, there's a lot cleaner, certainly, and it's also a lot brighter. Now, the lenses are pretty sharp. They're full of microfractures. This one's substantially worse because it's completely damaged, but that's a lot better. I'll let it dry because the plastic's actually separated and there's some water that's gone underneath it, so I'll just sit it in the sun and it'll dry out and be nice and clean. So I'll clean up this one, but I also need to sort out the reflector. As you can see, the reflector in there, in fact I'll hoik it out, is rather badly damaged. There we are. It's all bent, buckled, and it's highly corroded. In fact, it's pretty much corroded beyond repair. So I have a trick, but first things first, I need to essentially hammer that into submission. Yeah, I'm an idiot and I forgot to turn on my microphone, so you can't hear anything I'm about to say. So to paraphrase, the metal's bent and buckled and horrible, so I've got a piece of wood and a small hammer and I'm just hitting it over and over to make it flat and make it fit into the lenses better. That's really all I'm doing here. Pray to God my mum never watches this, she didn't know I was hammering stuff in the kitchen. Otherwise I think I might be shot. I do apologise for the poorly dubbed audio there. I forgot to turn on my microphone because I'm an idiot. So the lenses, well, the lens reflectors are now back to the shape they should be. I've no idea why they were so bent and buckled. I think that at some point these lenses were in a box of other spares, got jostled around a lot, these got damaged, and they just got stuck on the car. Compared them to some other components, I think several other parts also have that treatment. But I've got them relatively in the right shape. Now, they are heavily corroded. Now, I could spend hours with sandpaper, Brillo pads, polishing wheels, taking these to a mirror finish, but they're so rubbish, and I don't want to. And I'm replacing the lenses anyway come spring. So there is a trick, nice and simple one, to get these shiny again. You've probably heard of using tin foil to polish chrome. I did it actually to my car to polish up all the chrome because it was rather corroded. That's not what I'm doing here. No, I'm doing something much more simple. I'm going to wrap these with the shiny part of the tin foil because that's just much more reflective than the metal that's on there. Let's do it. And that's that. It's not perfect, it's a cheap, simple trick, but who's going to be able to tell? They're pretty opaque, so that's to at least make the lights a little bit brighter. So while the lenses are drying off in this, let's actually have a look at the light bases themselves, because they also need a little bit of tinkering. Alright, I hope the noise of the builders in the background isn't too bad, but this is the light lenses themselves. You know, you've got your main headlights there, you've got your indicator there, and this is the parking light. And you can understand why they're not very bright. They are tiny little bulbs. But in there, it's pretty corroded and gnarly. These bulbs are also pretty much past their best. I mean, you can see how, I don't know if you can see that, but the glass is rather scorched and darkened. So I've got some IPA solvent and a screwdriver, and I'm just going to clean the contacts in here and the other side, which is so much worse. Fit some brand new bulbs. I wanted to get LEDs, but I couldn't find any. Put the old lenses back on and have a look at how much better it is. Right, light lenses are now mostly dry. Put the reflectors back in. They actually go this way up. Don't know if you can see that. The bit that is stamped out goes at the top. That's solidly in. And now this one. Now that they've been stamped out with a hammer, they'll actually fit properly. Perfect. And with that, let's go put them on the car and see how much brighter these are. If it's exactly the same brightness, I'm going to be sad. Right, let me stick these light lenses on. They just screw into place. That's that. That's that. Now, will my unfortunately cabled lavalier mic allow me to get into the car and turn the lights on? It's gonna do it. I know the cable's in shot, I'm sorry. Hey, result. That is better. I don't know how well you can see on camera because obviously it's quite bright out, but that's way better than what I had previously. Ow. The problem is that the lenses are so fogged up due to UV damage that they're not letting all that light out, but that's way better. Haha, I've done the front lights. Now let's move on to the rear, which should be a whole lot of fun. From a distance, my Morris Minor rear lights don't actually look all that bad, but the Morris Minor doesn't look that bad from a distance, and yet when you get close up you see all the rust. These light lenses are absolutely shot, and they are far beyond repair. They absolutely need replacing. This one's not too bad, but it's full of cracks and microfractures, and it's also just constantly moist up. It's full of mist and water. The other one is about to fall off because the plastic's cracked so much. So I decided to go sod it. I've got brand new lenses, brand new gaskets, and some brand new bulbs because I'm going modern. I've got some LEDs. Take the lenses off and see what's hiding underneath here, because if you've never seen a classic car set of lights before, it's actually rather interesting. First one to come off is the driver's side. They're just held in with screws. There are 4 screws. There's 2 screws holding in this one, 2 screws holding in the other one, and none of them match. This car's been bodged to death. There we go. The light lens is disgusting. You can see it's full of dirt and grim stuff, but as you can see it's also cracked like mad, and it's dripping with water. These are the screws. Now you can see the problem. This is the gasket. It's rotted completely. In fact, can't actually get that off. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's disgusting. It's growing mold. Let's pull that off. Yeah, that's straight in the bin. And now you've got the light lenses. Now, I mentioned before that I've got a joined stop and brake light, and that's that. I'll hook that in a moment just so you can see a look at it, but this is just it. These are the only lights on the back of the car. Got the indicator and joined rear and brake light, and that's all you got. This space here is just the reflector. I'll just hoik this out, clean it out, and you can have a look at this bulb, because if you've never seen one, they're really rather weird. Time to get the second light off, and you can just see already how much worse this is. You may notice I'm using a different screwdriver because, well, some Burke used self-tappers on this side. I just hope that the screws I've got are able to be used. You can just see the state. This one's so much worse. It's actually about to fall off. There we go. I can hoik it out without the screw. And there you have it. Just look at the state of it. It's cracked, it's shattered, it's just... Now you can see why I replaced them both. And look at the state of the gasket on this bad boy. I'm not even sure I'll be able to get that off in one piece. It's so just rotted. Ugh. Got lenses off. Here is the worst one. Just to reiterate, look at the state of these. They're absolutely shot. They're full of cracks. This one was about to fall off. I mean, look at it. It's just awful. These are beyond saving, really, and they're about to fall off, like I said. This is the better one. If I just put my fingernail behind the reflector, it comes off. It was just held in with dirt. Yikes. So I've got my nice new lenses. These are new old stock, I believe. They're 1969 stock, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Nice and shiny, no cracks, no sun bleaching. If I hold them up, you can just see the difference. The colours are brighter, the reflector is shinier. Everything about this is just better. The reflector on the inside, lovely. So that's the light lenses. And also got new gaskets. Which one's the old one and which one's the new one? Can you tell? Yeah, that's just not okay. It was growing mould. These are nice and new and keep water out of the electrics. Water and electricity doesn't mix. Speaking of electricity, this is a combined brake and back light. And if you've never seen one of these before, they're actually rather clever. They're very smart. What it is, it's a bulb, like every other bulb, but not only does it have two things at the bottom and two pins, it has two filaments. And most importantly of all, one of these filaments is much brighter than the other. If you get nice and close, you can see one of the filaments is much thicker than the other. That's because the brake lights have to be brighter than the stop lights. Not the stop lights, the rear lights. I'm getting confused here. The rear lights are obviously bright enough that you have to be able to see the car, but the brake lights have to be brighter than that so that you can see when you're going to stop, because there's no high-level brake light. And that's how these work, and they're really clever, but they're virtually extinct on modern cars because you just have separate lights and much bigger binnacles. But I'm not putting these back. They're fine as they were, these are working, but gone for an upgrade. LED. As you can see, once again, it's got that same base. This is built for a Morris Minor or other combined brake and rear lights, and you've got the LEDs in there. Some of them are for the brakes, some of them are for the rear lights. This will not only be brighter, because the lights are not as bright as modern lights, but also it's going to have less drain on the existing wiring loom, which is rather fragile, and less drain on the battery. So if I'm driving at night, especially during the winter, which I'm not doing this year, but you know, if I'm doing that, it's less drain on the battery. So this is going to be much better. Also, it doesn't come on and off. There are arguments for and against this. I know it kind of ruins the originality of the car because you don't have the lights go like that. It's just like that. But these are brighter, they're safer, and they're less likely to suddenly fail as well. And these can be a bit of a pain to pick up, so I'll keep these as spares, but put these in the car. I just need to go over, sort out the actual contacts, clean them all up, and then I'll fit these and we can see how they look. Right, so it's later on in the day. I've waited for the sun to go down so I can show you this. So I've set up the lights, And what I've done is I've set up a bit of comparison. So one side has the fancy new LED bulbs in, and the other side has the old style filament bulbs in. And I want you to guess which one it is. Here's the normal lights. And even more impressive, here's the brake lights. Which one's LED? You're right, it's that one. Why the bloody hell is it dimmer? Oh dear. Well, that was incredibly disappointing, wasn't it? I've fitted the old bulbs back in, which I didn't want to do because they're pretty grotty, so I'm going to have to order some new of those. I'm really annoyed. I spent a bit of money on getting those LEDs. I thought it'd be much better. It turns out that they're worse in every way. It didn't even want to work in that one properly, so not good at all. Perhaps I got some duff bulbs, but anyway, we're back to old school filament, which is a bit annoying. But look how nice they are. They're much nicer, the colour's much brighter, and they let light through a lot better, especially the indicators. I was really surprised at how nice the indicators actually look on this thing. And the brake lights are really bright now, and it just looks better. The old lamps were just horrible. Well, there's not much I can do about that now but complain and see if I can figure out why the LEDs weren't as good as the filament bulbs. Disappointing. But anyway, thank you very much for watching Project Daily Drive. I've got the next episode planned up. I just hope it'll be a lot cooler than this one. See you next time.